Might get tiring.
You might get tired of it.
We're recording now, by the way.
Okay.
So keep it PG-13 and less.
No. Oh.
Yes.
Oh, look at that bottom.
Look at that bottom. Mmm. Just make sure to turn your audios off.
I'm right here. I'm not gonna do mine too. That doesn't make sense. I'll just be right here.
Like this?
I mean, you don't even have to show me how.
No, it's stopping. Like so.
Hmm?
Of course we gotta show you. Crazy?
Why?
Looney bin?
Why? Not necessary.
You want to be a disembodied voice?
Okay.
Where did Rain go?
She got coconut oil.
I hope I get someone complaining about
Eating?
eating cereal.
You will.
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Well, how are you?
Hi, Daniel.
I just got to make sure that our conversation is along party lines,
Oh,
that we don't deviate from that.
we shall not.
Party lines. Are you from Volkswagen? I mean,
What?
are you from the Not-Sims?
Wait, you can't see me?
No.
No, I cannot.
Oh, then you don't get what I'm saying.
I assume
well,
you're...
once you're able to see me, if you are, hold on. I don't know why you can't see me though. Hold on.
You have to click on the show video. Are you
But
wearing
I did.
Are you wearing your comrade hat? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, let me see. Okay, there we go.
There you are.
There he is.
There's Daniel.
Captain Comrade.
Captain Comrade is back. Yeah, I had just posted that meme of them spinning the Volkswagen logo and it turned into the swastika when you spun it fast enough.
Does it really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I never knew that. I gotta see that.
And then my brother accused me of accusing my dad of being a Hitler supporter by owning a Volkswagen. And I told him I didn't make the meme.
Yeah.
Although
Well,
it actually does do that.
Yeah. Volkswagen is one of the logos that changed the Mandela effect, right? You heard about that one, right?
I don't know, maybe.
The V, with the cut in the center between the V and the W.
Yeah.
Yeah. It used to be merged together. Or
I
is
remember
it? It might be the other way around. I think it's cut now, and it used to be together. I don't know which one is which.
I'll show you on my phone what it looks like. It looks like... Rin was trying to come on, but she's probably having technical difficulties as well.
Yeah, I'm really not sure what these random computer software updates really mean.
That's what mine had yesterday, remember?
Yeah.
It just in the middle of the thing, it just like turned itself off and said, "You're now updating." Okay. It didn't even tell me. It didn't even warn me that I was updating. My computer turned itself off immediately, and then turned it on, and then it was updating.
Well,
no warning.
I mean, I don't necessarily think it's something sinister.
I don't
it's
either.
kind of odd that it's forced upon you,
Well, I just figured I had refused it so many times, like probably over 100 times, that it was just like, look, fucker, if we don't update your computer, you can't even use the internet anymore, or something like that. Like it's just too outdated. I'm assuming it's something like that.
Yeah, technology is updating so quickly that in no way if it makes sense, but it's.
There you go, Daniel. Can you see this? Maybe not.
Yeah, I could see it. Yeah.
It's kind of like in a glare, maybe. Here we go.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
You see?
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Right?
Yeah, and you know we have a building here in San Diego that if you look at it from space, it's a swastika. You ever heard about that one?
Mm.
It's a swastika from space, and it's actually like a naval command center too. It's like an important Navy complex.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll send you. I'll show it to you later. Well, actually, I'll find it right now. See if I could zoom in.
Have you heard of that book Armada?
I heard of it. Yeah.
In Armada, this kid, what is his name? Something Lightman. Anyway.
Well,
anyway, the main character, like, when they find Mars, which is where the aliens that are attacking them are using, not Mars, they find Europa, which is the name of the planet that Earth is being attacked from. Europa has a giant swastika, like, inlaid inside of the ice.
Yeah, you know what? I have heard about that.
And then the U.S. or the United States government tried to send a probe in there to find out if there was anything we could steal from the planet, because we're a big fan of that kind of activity.
Right.
So we did that, and then they sent a message that said, "You have desecrated our sacred holy grounds, and for this we will destroy you." And they send that same message just over and over every single year for 40 years in a row. Yeah.
Wow. Now that, yeah. I have read I can't remember the name of the book exactly, but it was called Brotherhood of the Bell, about this Nazi bell. You heard about that, right? This instrument, this quote-unquote UFO, secret Nazi technology.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never heard of that book, you should read it. It's really interesting. I think it's called Brotherhood of the Bell.
Haven't heard of it. Is it a Taco Bell conspiracy?
I'm sure Taco Bell isn't a conspiracy, though. I haven't said that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for this Nazi building.
There's an alien head. The Taco Bell, the bell part, looks like an alien eye to me. So I think if you put two of the bells together, you'd see like a face.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that too. If you look carefully enough, you could find alien heads all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's some of it. I'm sure is just nothing more than pareidolia, but maybe not. I mean, you never know. Did they remove this building? I can't find it.
Mandela.
Oh wait, what in the world? I guess Google must have fixed it, so it doesn't look so Nazi anymore, because I can't find it.
Quick.
Yeah.
Google's erasing physical artifacts now, as far as their algorithm.
They are. That wouldn't even surprise me, honestly.
Huh. Wow.
I mean, you heard about the deep fakes and everything like that. They could make people look as real as you can imagine, and it's really creepy. So I'm sure they could erase landmarks. They could. It might actually be. They might be playing a role in the Mandela effect. I mean, who knows?
Maybe. That last video I made was about thispersondoesnotexist.com. It's an AI that just generates human faces that look more real than actual humans, and apparently they're just generating it from scratch.
I actually watched a video about that yesterday.
Yeah?
Yeah, that same website you just mentioned,
Yeah.
I looked at some of those pictures, and yeah, they're incredibly convincing.
Did you look at the cats? You gotta look at the cats.
The cats?
Go to the same website and look at I mean, not right now because you probably can't, but on the bottom right side of the faces, there will be links for other parts of the website, and he does cats, and he does just like the computer generating art. If you look at the cats are all fucked up, they're just terribly generated, just like cat pieces all over the place and misformed heads and everything. It's very funny.
Yeah. Is anyone else coming on?
Omar's making coffee. Rin.
Oh yeah, I know. When I was there, that's
what he was doing.
And like I said, his coffee is honestly some of the best I've ever had.
It is.
He's truly talented.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Andrea's talented too. I got some actual coffee here, not
Nice.
fake Starbucks.
Well,
That's cool.
I didn't roast that though.
Is it better than Starbucks?
Yes, it's better than Starbucks.
So, what do you think of this current outbreak? Any thoughts on it?
It was predicted by Dean Koontz.
Dean Koontz, yeah,
I know.
that's
I know that much. It was predicted by The Simpsons. It's on a bunch of sort of generic medicine bottles as treatable. This medicine treats coronavirus. Like, it's on a couple bottles at least already. Like, have been around forever.
well. Isn't coronavirus? Isn't it just a general term for the cold?
That also is a possibility. And what Andrew was saying is, corona means the head, which is the crown, or it means the crown, which is the head. And people are saying it's more like the mind virus attacking people's fear, paranoia aspects, and having the people exacerbate and amplify the signal, like always happens anyway, and try to create pandemonium via what's the word? Pandemic. Pandemonia via pandemic.
Yeah, and then corona is also a reference to the sun, so
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
it could be related to solar energies that are affecting people's minds,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of the first thing that came to mind when I first heard about it, actually. And then there's the correlations with Resident Evil.
Right.
You heard about that, right?
The Umbrella Corps.
The umbrella, yeah, and then, raccoon is an anagram for corona.
Oh.
Forgot about that one.
And in iPad Go 2, the name of the song that's in the cartoon is it's by the Tanuki Project, and the Tanuki is a raccoon dog, Japanese raccoon dog.
Wow.
So I know that's kind of a vague connection, but it's
No,
something.
it's not. It's not a vague connections.
I don't know if there are any vague connections.
Mm-mm.
Also, at least what Aurora was saying was she thinks this is a testing of the wetware, like the micro, what do you call it, nanotech that they've been seeding the atmosphere with for forever.
Yeah.
And they're trying to activate it. Supposedly, according to her, they're trying to test who's accepting the wetware or not via what they're calling the coronavirus. And when someone reacts against it and the body rejects it, then these are the afflicted by the coronavirus and they get taken out or treated or whatever the fuck they do with them. I don't know if that's real or not. In China, anything is possible.
Anything is possible. I mean, they could have like some kind of weaponized system in the atmosphere that's like kind of triggering this nanotech on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
It could. I mean, the possibilities are endless. It's
there was a video someone leaked of. It could have been. You see, like, I don't know. There's so much what you call made up, and then everything is made up anyway on like a greater level. So you don't know you don't know what's being made up within the made up stuff and what's like coming from the quote real stuff. It's very confusing. But
it's deliberately done that way too. Create confusion, right? Isn't that the point? It's like they just throw everything at you,
mm-hmm.
and it's like, here, try to figure it out.
They were doing eye scans.
Yeah.
At a checkpoint in China, supposedly, they were like scanning someone's eye with a little radar gun, their forehead or something, and then whatever the radar gun, they're like, oh, you're infected or whatever, so they pulled them out, But I don't know. I was telling Andrew it might be like they're trying to bring to public knowledge the fact that they have that face scans can basically tell what's going on in the body. Like you have a virus, you have a flu, you have a low sodium level in your body. Like maybe just reading the eyes or the face, you can read it like a basic synopsis of what's going on in the body. Possibly that's been around for a while, and they're just trying to use this as cover to release that technology. I have no idea what it actually is. There are
Definitely. I mean, it's not just one single thing. There's a lot of stuff going on. And I think there's definitely a connection between a perfect scapegoat for the crashing stock market is this virus.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it was bound for a crash inevitably anyway, and now they could just conveniently blame it on the virus, everything's the virus's fault. So.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, everything
Nobody
is the
needs to
virus.
go to jail or any of that.
Yeah.
It's
It's like,
God.
yeah. So, I just said, yeah, raccoon, corona. I don't know.
What was the name of
I'm
that
sure
guy?
they already have a vaccine. At least Bill Gates does. He just doesn't want to release it.
What was the name of that guy that got killed in Afghanistan? Or the leader? He had a similar name, right?
Soleimani in
Soleimani,
Iran?
yeah. Yeah,
In
Soleimani.
Iraq.
Sola is also solar, which is also corona.
Yeah, Soleimani, the son of man.
Wow.
Yeah, remember? That's SOLIMAN.
The son of man gets the coronavirus and everything explodes.
Well, yeah. There's all sorts of sun references all over the place lately. Either, I don't know, they're pointing to something. Either it's a solar event, or it's a shift in consciousness, or it's something dark and sinister, or it's all of the above.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Do you know how much of a crash the stock market is having? Like, how severe of a tank is it?
Yeah, it's so far the fastest crash in history, and it's
Really?
the worst since 2008.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Well, the cycle has been every 7 years, roughly, and this is what,
11
years?
or 12. It's like 11 years. Yeah.
11 years, yeah.
And
Did we have a something happening like in 2015, which will be 7 years after 2016?
no, not that I'm aware of. We had the Arab Spring in 2011, and a bunch of crazy stuff happened that year, but it didn't cause any major crashes or anything.
Yeah, 2012 was a big year, it was supposed to be a big year.
Yeah.
I don't know where the F Omar is. Where are you, Omar?
I saw Rin coming on, and then it would disappear.
Yeah, she tried coming in 3 times.
Technical problems.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Computer gods, like you said.
Yeah.
The computer AI god.
Hey, so I wanted to mention remember I was mentioning one Mandela effect that just deeply bothered me just so much.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get over it the entire day. It was I was at work and I saw a poster. I don't know if it was a movie showing or a play, and it was for the Addams Family. And growing up, the Addams Family was I loved the Addams Family. Loved it. I saw those movies 20 times.
Mm-hmm.
And the Addams Family has 2 D's, ADDAMS.
The original?
How?
No.
You're saying...
and it's always had 2 D's apparently.
Oh, you're saying that... Hi, Omar. You're saying the new version has 2 Ds? Like the affected version?
The affected version is ADDAMS.
Oh.
So,
wow.
I mean...
Do you remember 2 Ds or 1?
1.
Yeah. Omar, 2 Ds or 1 for Addams Family?
Oh, it's in his first name?
The
Addams Family. Remember the show, the movies? Addams Family?
Oh, 1.
Yeah, 1.
Daniel's saying it's 2 now, and it's saying it's been 2 the whole time. 2 Ds.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys have abstracted this whole game yet, but just in a nutshell, if the same thing keeps happening, which is that something you remember keeps changing, and it's always a different something, but it always changes by a letter or 2, then that's the entirety of the game, and you can just write it off and ignore it completely. I mean, sure, it might mean that there are people that are now having that experience because they never heard of the thing before, but that doesn't mean that your version is any different because they're just experiencing a new version. It's like look at this pretty red glass bowl I made, and then a week later I made a purple one, and nobody had seen the red one. It was a bowl, but it was purple, but to everybody else it was red too. Doesn't matter.
But
It's
fun,
all
Omar.
subjective.
It's fun.
Yes, it's all subjective, exactly.
But then again, it's not, because we're still here in this one place.
Well,
right?
people make agreements on different things that they see to standardize, because that's how people can have a discussion around something and bond over it. But it doesn't mean that it's any less than the other version, like the red one versus the purple one. They both exist.
Yeah, they do both exist. I guess that's a good point.
But when you find that the new purple version that showed up bothers you, it's because it changed the way you emotionally bonded with the red one.
Emotionally.
Maybe what it is, maybe a way to describe it is that a lot of people were given the notion that the universe is just a certain thing. It's this way, it's that way, it's a certain thing. And then you come out to the real knowledge that it's not any certain thing whatsoever. It's always changing, it always has been changing, and you can't actually grasp it. And then the emotional angst that you experience is when you're sitting in between those two possibilities rather than believing one or the other.
Yeah, exactly. And for many people who don't have a feeling that they could be comfortable with the other one, well, it's really, really hard to understand that it's never going to be the way they want it to be, and it causes even more grief. So
And
you may as well just
that's the
understand
actual
that
reason, Omar, I think, why Christians are so upset, because they're latched onto the one that's like, this is how it is, this is the narrative, it's only one narrative, it's not anything else. And them holding on to that belief manifests it, because we are manifestors, so it does manifest that potentiality. But the whole rest of the universe is trying to like flow through that stuck spot, like how the universe always does. And those people are like, no, it's this way. No. And the river is trying to like blow them along, you know.
Well,
just to understand, and not to make it religious. What do you mean the Christians and the verse exposition statement you made?
Just like the basic like salvation story, the basic savior story, the basic creation myth, as if like there was a one possibility, and then there is the one sort of afterlife, which has two prongs only, that sort of thing.
Oh, I'm 37. I stopped buying into that 30 years ago, so I had to forget about it.
You forgot.
I didn't even remember what you meant. Okay, got it.
Well, but Gary's got a great point, because that enables the, who's ever in control. It makes it a lot easier for them to manifest these things, and they are. Like, these narratives are actually playing out right now as we speak, because we have billions of people stuck in belief systems.
Well, we need in this world to have a sense of self, and for most people that comes from something that's external to themselves.
Yes.
So in that way, it's actually just something that is, and it neither has a good nor a bad. But to somebody who's a thinker like yourself, or like Gary, or anybody else that looks at the bigger picture, defining oneself by one's thoughts of oneself becomes the imperative, and it's a much more peaceful ride.
Yeah, I've been actually thinking about just that, like, over the last few weeks. Like, I've been having really interesting things come to mind, and I'm like, what is it? How is this part of me? How is it related to my spiritual evolution? These thought patterns, these manifestations, these creations that are in my mind. It's like, who am I in relation to this? It makes
exactly. And the deeper next question that you'll find yourself asking is not who am I in relation to this, but what? It's like you have that, and then you have what you just said, and then the next step is what relevance does any of this have to anything? And then if you get stuck there, you might get depressed for a little bit. But the the next point is actually like, okay, so there's all this, and then now what? And then you get to this point where you think, well, okay. And then after you get to acceptance, then you start to be able to bring in new relational models of how you see yourself. But you have to go through those stages before you can actually start to see it clearly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like the 5 stages of grief, or the 5-fold model, or any sort of observational synthesis model in science.
Yep.
Because the thing that people don't get about science is that it's just a very logical way to look at the world. It's not wrong. I mean, it produces a lot of flawed data, but that doesn't mean the baseline methodology of science is wrong.
Yeah.
It's not wrong, but it uses very emphatic language, which, like facts, like that's a very emphatic language, and you can understand that word when you understand that there really aren't any facts, but there are very strong tendencies, and you can perform experiments with lots of seeming constants, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're not ever the exact constant, but it's very close, so you can pretend like facts exist, and so on and so forth. Yes, you can do that. And then you have a good fluid definition of the word fact, but a lot of people take that word and they're like, oh, it means something. It is this one thing.
You bring up a very good point, and that's the scientific model is flawed in that it attempts to be reproducible.
Mm-hmm.
The universe is not reproducible. It's constantly variable, but somewhat... usually the apple will fall the same way, but when it doesn't, then it throws science on its ass and it doesn't know what to make of it. Same way with people interpreting facts. Some person, it's like statistics. Hey, Gary, did you know that if you go outside and run really fast, you'll come back inside and fall asleep because you exercised? Well, not quite. You might, but you might have had coffee first and then you won't. Or you might not be able to sleep because you're sweaty. So there's all these other factors that come into play. And it's not constantly...
Or coffee may not affect you at all because you drink way too much energy drinks, so it won't make you not fall asleep.
Exactly. Exactly. But the point is it's not constantly reproducible, but science assumes that it is. Mm-hmm. And then it creates a fact based on the results of the experiment. But that's not just how... It's not quite so. It's close, but it's not quite.
It's an effective way to deal with a chaotic appearing world. Like, the mind needs something which it can understand, and words are just placeholders for, like I've said in the past, your own personal attachment to that word. You say a word, car, right? Inside of Daniel's mind, that one word brings a bunch of things in. Inside of Omar's mind, that one word, car, brings a whole bunch of shit in. Inside my mind, a whole bunch of stuff. Under each of those umbrellas, the placeholders, which is the word car, there's a shit ton of stuff underneath there. That's language. Like, every word you say, you're giving an umbrella that has eons worth of your own actual experiences with that word, your own interpretations of that word, everything. And it's all subjective and it's all personal. So when people are saying, oh, my facts, and, you know, this is a proven thing, it's laughable speech because it's obviously not. It's not that.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing about language is it's a symbolic relational database that you establish with the symbol, which the symbol is static, it doesn't change, but the meaning changes based on the observer. Right. So it's a lot like Schrodinger's cat in that sense. Now, here's a funny twist. In software, all symbolic links to files have to point to only one file. So it's completely opposite of the way humans experience that relationship between static symbol and, i.e., a word,
That's really
and their files. So it's completely ironic, but that's because it's a synthetic system and it can't handle.
It's too much information.
Right? It can't. It does. If the file says create symlink for apples.txt. and then point that at basket.txt, it doesn't know what would happen if you created another symlink for apples.txt because then the first one wouldn't work because it only knows how to do one. Now, when you have a database, then you can create apples1.txt, apples2.txt, and have them all go to basket if they're typed a fruit, So apples.txt would store fruit, and grapes would store fruit, and avocados would store fruit, but lettuce would be stored as a vegetable. And in that table schematic, we think of things the same way in a sense, because that's what we automatically do. So when we think of car, you have your experiences and I have mine and Daniel has his, but we also think of the different qualities that car means, and those are the things that would go on the table.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really making a point, but it is interesting because it's very much the way that different groups, like say Christians or Muslims, think about the same thing, which would be religion, which would be basket.
You know, it's almost like if you imagined that you had the word, like the words for humans, right? Not computers. There's like a tank of water, and you have like a permeable basket. Say this basket is called car, and you have all your little things that are about car in there. But when you drop it in the water, it starts interacting with the water a little bit, but mostly stays inside. And then this basket can kind of permeate another basket for a little bit, and then it takes some essence from the other one. It's like that. Like our placeholders are permeable all the time, somewhat, not completely, but somewhat. So it's like a self-learning container sharing, data sharing phenomenon that happens automatically. Whereas with the computer, someone has to go in there and like open up the file name and then say this type of data is acceptable inside of this basket and so on. It takes a lot of like what is called replication or mimicry or whatever you call it.
Yeah, because the atoms are constantly moving around in their fluid electrical state, and they're finding an affinity for one basket or one permeable container or the other. Now, that gets really interesting because when you bring into play the way marketing works, or the way frequency modulated waves work, or mind control, or microwave, or any kind of attenuated signal that's repeatable, in this case of marketing, the attenuated signal is buy Starkist fruit snacks, they're good for you and have your daily dose of vitamin C. If you heard that 500 times, you might think to yourself, I had a sniffle, I need vitamin C. Starkist fruit snacks. But if you lived in a jungle, you'd never think that. You'd just go find an apple or a banana or an orange. But where it gets really interesting is these attenuated signals, say 2.5 gigahertz or 5 gigahertz for a router, those have a certain biological effect on any being in the area. You might find yourself slightly dehydrated or unable to sleep, your brain's excited. But if you interlace another message within that carrier wave, I mean, it doesn't necessarily happen this way, but it could. Like those people with metal plates in their heads back in the day from like war injuries that used to be able to hear the FM radio every once in a while, like Grandpa could get the radio on his head. You've heard that, right?
No, but that's funny.
Oh, well, yeah, it's a distinct phenomenon that's been written about, where like some old guy would be able to tune in to like the radio station in his head just because he had a metal plate and it was the same. It was just the right size for him to attenuate the radio waves. So you can do that with a carrier signal, but it's just interesting because it brings to light another perspective of how the brain relates to its environment and how the baskets are permeable.
Yeah. It's very.
Oh, and without jumping into a whole other thing, I did think of one example of that Aurora might know, or somebody else might know, the 5G beaming technology, the voice of God type thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a perfect example of oversaturating the data channel, so it hears something, and you can type in the message, and then it'll play, or it'll produce the images based on the way that basket of fruit, that brain, interprets the signal or the symbol that it's hearing, but it's really just coming through the air.
Mm-hmm.
Did I ever tell you that story about this supposedly targeted individual that I met? You guys want to hear it?
Yeah, before you tell that story, we have 6 minutes, and I'm not gonna extend this one because I'm having Aurora on at 12, and I want to take a break in between.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead with your story.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
like probably back in 2016 or so.
Hold on, Dan, 1 sec. Gary, will you send the link to us to join that one afterwards?
It's
When
not
you
going
make
to be joinable as in everyone hops on with their faces. It's going to be joinable in the fact that you can chat in the live show for YouTube Live. That's how it will be joinable. It's just going to be Aurora and I having the discussion now.
Is it on a different app?
No, it's on YouTube. It will be YouTube Live.
Oh,
on
I don't know how
my
to use
channel.
that. Maybe you can send me a link to read how it works.
You just go on YouTube.
Have you ever watched any of my videos?
Not a live one.
Well, if I'm live and you go to my YouTube channel, it will appear like on the top of all my videos. Gary is live.
If I go into the app?
Yeah. Or on your computer,
Oh.
or however you access my channel, you will see that I'm live on my channel.
And then you get a chat box?
There's a chat box.
Yeah, you get to everyone who's watching gets to chat just like they're watching a show. They are watching a show.
Interesting. Okay, cool, thanks.
This is old technology, Omar.
Well, it's new to me.
Okay, good. Go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, so around 2016, I was working a patrol job in a area, in a residential area, and I was doing a foot patrol, and this gentleman came up to me. He was like repairing his car or something, and he just starts talking to me. He's like, "Hey, I'm from Iran. I was a high-ranking officer there. I emigrated to the U.S. a decade ago or something like that." And he starts giving me this very, very long, elaborate story of how his life was completely ruined. He has people hacking into his computer. He has people following him everywhere. He has all these crazy things going on that they're trying to, they're getting to his family. He said that he's homeless now. He lives in his van, and that he was essentially begging me for help. I'm like, how am I going to help you? And he's like, I already went to the sheriff. I went to the police. They don't believe my story. I don't know what to do. Can you please talk to somebody? And I'm like, okay, well, I could because I already knew of there's this guy on YouTube. His name is like Richard Bruce or something. He lives in LA and he claims to be targeted. So I was already talking to Richard Bruce at that time. So I was like kind of planning to maybe introduce him to this person.
Okay.
And other than that, I just kind of didn't know what to make of it. And it wasn't 100% believable until something happened a few days later. So I'm doing this routine foot patrol in the area. And a few days later, he's doing stuff with his car again. He was underneath his car. And I see a group of 4 people standing about 15 feet away from him, looking completely and totally out of place. Like, they were all completely different. One of them was like a man in his 60s. The other looked like a female in her 30s. One looked like a Hispanic teenager. And another one just was like a random man. They just didn't look like a group of people that would be hanging out together at all.
Uh-huh.
And they were standing in this one spot and they were looking at him repair the car. They're all looking at this guy.
Yeah.
And so they were obviously suspicious to me. So I approached them and I asked them, what's going on? What are you guys doing here? This is private property. None of them looked at me in the eye once. They were all looking down. They didn't say a word. They left. They freaking just bolted out of there. They didn't say a word.
Oh my
So
God.
I'm like, okay, maybe this guy's telling me a real story here. The point is that the incident was it was so odd to me that I brought it up to my boss, and I recommended that he try to help this guy or do something because it was weird.
That's very interesting. It sounds like street theater attempting to be formed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much you've looked into the TI phenomenon, but
Street theater, I never even heard of that.
street theater is when the people who are hooked into the neural net of the supercomputer or whatever's organizing these things,
Yeah.
when they are susceptible enough to the signal that it can actually control them and position them around whoever is targeted, basically to harass and to try to elicit emotional reactions. That's the main point.
Well, this guy, I'm trying to think like the reason like could be his like Iranian connections is why he was targeted, or he claimed that he doesn't know why, like he was just a regular citizen, never did anything.
You know why it's not out, Daniel, and we got to go in a minute, but my belief why it's not out is because, number one, there's AI involved. Number two, there's supercomputer and super systems involved, okay?
Yeah.
And number three, these systems have data. You could call it dirt, but everyone's good and bad, so it doesn't really mean that much. But they have data on everybody. They have data on you, has data on me, on Andrea, on everybody. So if the system itself wants to perpetuate itself, it sees like lots of activity and it knows like that person's making noise, so it can just send people via street theater or whatever to go just like sort of lower the signal output of that one node.
Okay.
But there's lots of stuff to look into. We got about 30 seconds left, so thank you, Daniel and Omar, and come back at 12 o'clock to watch and participate in the Aurora live show.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to. If I am, I'll let you know. Okay.
It's fine, Daniel. Whichever. Thanks for hanging out, you guys.
By the way, Daniel, nice hat.
Thank you.
Bye. Okay. See how helpful it is when I time this?
Yeah. That walk is still available, so I'm gonna
Go do it. Let's see how quickly this uploads since I have super fast internet. What meeting is this? Number 15, I think.
15 was last time.
Really? We're getting on there, eh? We survived Samir's leaving. Can you believe the group didn't fall apart? So 16.
Elderly dog out. The notes say she's very fragile.
Nice. What did we talk about? Coronavirus, TI. I don't know if I should put keywords in here. Or does it mean much? TI's Mandela effect. Maybe I could actually make attempts on growing the channel. That's fine. Oh. Swastikas. Okie dokie.